Okay, so let's go. Panelists, I let you introduce yourself. Maybe Solène, you can begin.
Yeah, sure. So nice to meet you, everyone. My name is Solène. I'm working at Balderton Capital. So Balderton is a VC fund based in London, investing in European founders. We have two funds, one fund to invest in early stage companies. So seed and Series A, tickets from $1 to $10 million. And we have a growth stage fund to invest from Series B till pre-IPO. Tickets will go from $10 million to $60 million. We invest in all kinds of sectors, so fintech, cybersecurity, mobility, modern data stack, fashion. It's very broad. The only thing is that we invest in tech. But yeah, I mean, if you have any question, feel free to ask. Super happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Maybe Aditya, you can go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Aditya represents Thematic Ventures. Because prior to that, worked as part of the Lloyd Smart Factory program. And then, Thematic Ventures, we're an early stage digital industrial firm based out of SF, focused on sort of supply chain, robotics, energy, and manufacturing. Pre-seed, seed focus, $1 to $1.5 million check size. 22 companies so far. Some in the manufacturing sector are like Fulcrum, for example. So yeah, nice to meet everybody.
And last but not least, Pavel.
Thank you. My name is Pavel. I'm with TA Ventures. We're an international early stage VC fund. Also invest in pre-seed, seed, but only as a co-investor, so we don't lead. Typical ticket size is 250 to 500,000. We've done a bit over 200 investments over the past 12 years. Myself, I'm based in Frankfurt in Germany. And yeah, super excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Pavel. And Rania, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Rania, sure. Happy to join the team today and looking forward to the pitches. So I'm Rania, partner here in France at Equity Ventures. Joined the firm 3 years ago. One-liner Equity Ventures, we do from seed to Series B. We just raised a 1.1 billion fund to find the next future European winners. We invest mainly ticket between 3 and 40 million euros. Pretty generalist, and the core DNA of the firm is that we are all ex-entrepreneurs, ex-operators. So prior to join the dark side, as we called it as funders, I built one of the leading e-commerce in Africa called Afrimarket, grew the company from 0 to 300 people for 8 years in 6 different geographies.
Awesome. Thanks, Rania. I think we presented all the panelists, so now I will let Renan present a bit OSS Ventures.
Sure, and thank you so much for all the founders and all the panelists. We've been operating for 3 years, and that's very, very awesome. So let's deep a little into OSS Renaissance. So OSS Ventures is a venture builder, and we are specialized in operations, as you can see. By specializing in operations, it gives us a unique point of view because we have created 15 companies and are present in a little over 850 factories. So going to the next slide, we just wanted to share with you all the data points we are getting and our view of the future. So basically, manufacturing and the way we produce things is at the heart of a revolution because of climate change and what we call the everything crisis. What is the everything crisis? It's supply chain crisis, it's labor shortage, it's geopolitical tension, and everything is in crisis. The consensus is that the everything crisis is not a temporary bad 12 months that we need to pass through, it's the new normal. So if you go to the next slide, I just wanted to show you that nice little graph at the right side of that slide. The word reshuffling supply chain was mentioned 9 times more than any time before in any earning calls by Goldman Sachs. So basically, we are switching our production model. At the left side, you can see a little things that you may have not heard of, such as the war in Ukraine and the energy price. Basically, we are shifting our production model, whether we like it or not, under very high uncertainty and the everything crisis. So in that new normal, what are the lighthouses that we can look to and look forward to? If you go to the next slide, you can see that France and Europe are giving an answer to that question, which is reshoring. So putting back the production model near its consumption point. There is an enormous amount of funds which is dedicated to just that. If you go to the next slide, to do that and to reshuffle and to reshore our production model, software is poised to be a very large part of that, because our social model relies on high wages, and you won't relocate and reshore manufacturing with very high wage and a labor shortage without having access to tech. If you go to the next page, and I promise it's almost the last one, if you look at the OSS thesis, it's very simple. The total IT and digital spend in operations is going to double. The ERP share of that is going to be halved. And so we will go from a world where there are very, very few SaaS and marketplaces in any factory, any warehousing center, any logistics center, any retail operation center, to a world where there is a lot of SaaSes and marketplaces. Everything is connected. There is AI and data everywhere. And so that shift is already happening. You can see at Tesla, that is just blowing every single benchmark in terms of tech-enabled operations. And we see from the ground up in Europe that shift happening. So if you go to next slide, our thesis is very simple. Social and environmental will be required to have the license to operate. So we invest in direct manufacturing disruption and in software-enabled models. So either pure SaaS marketplaces or software-enabled operations. So that's what we've been doing for the last 3 years with good success. And now we are raising a fund that is dedicated to operating that model. We already raised a little continuity fund, but we now have strong commit and expect some announcements in Q1 of the next year for the VC fund that will be the next logical part of OSS Ventures. Thank you to all the panelists. Thank you to all the founders. I know it's a stressing time for you, and I will not speak more because what you're waiting for is obviously the stars, the founders. Thank you for your attention.
So we will have 4 startups: Juno, MyC, Automi, Vertical, and Bonx. The pitch will be 6 minutes, and then we'll have 5 minutes of question and answer with the panelists. So Thibaud, you can go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for being here, here on Zoom, and thank you to OSS for having us tonight. It's always a pleasure. I'm Thibaud. I'm the CEO of Juno, and I'm with my co-founder and CTO Renan. I know that we only have 6 minutes, so I promise to be quick. So let's go. Tonight we are talking about continuous improvements. So the equation is quite simple. Manufacturing is experiencing a strong increase in production complexity for the past decade. There are 2.5 billion procedures that are performed every day in European factories, and more than 300 million in French ones. This is due to higher standards, higher state-of-the-art, and obviously an increase in demand customization. In fact, the little product that you see here is not part of a satellite or a nuclear reactor. It's just a part of a door. It's a doorstep. So clearly, we don't produce the same product as before. Nowadays, it's more and more complex. But the problem is that factories are stuck in the wrong decade. More than 80% of them are operating with paper-based systems. What are the business impacts of this heavy paper-based systems, very simple. 30% of procedures are just not executed on the shop floor. 30%, because operators just don't have the right documentation. They don't understand why the control has changed, and they don't have a documentation that relates to the right product. And we can see that there is a 30% productivity gap between factories that has a heavy paper-based system and factories that have a modern and flexible operational system. So strong impacts. What is the solution? For us is to build an operational system that can work for performance, that will be collaborative. Operators can talk and communicate to engineers and offices. Data-driven, we can collect all the data and the contextualized data from the shop floor, and intelligent, thanks to that data, we can make good decisions and improve the system continuously. This is why we built Juno, the only tool built for continuous improvement. Juno is very simple. We just put on the same interface every one from the operational vertical. Engineers, we can easily create their procedures, documentation, controls, and push them to the right operation on the shop floor. Operators, we can easily access them and interact with them, execute them. And then we can collect 100% contextualized data so that engineers can make good decisions, can have insight from the shop floor, can detect if there is some problems, some patterns, and can improve the system continuously. So we close the continuous improvement loop. Now I'll let Reda show you quickly how the product is.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm going to share my screen. Is it okay now? Okay. Hi, everybody. I don't have that much time to present you our app, so I'll be very quick. So basically, to be able to create this continuous improvement loops, as Thibaud was explaining, we propose three main models. The first model is the one that allow an engineer or white collar, like maintenance, responsible, or quality of production. We allow him to build his documentation using some basic building blocks. So he will create the step or the blocks he needs for his operator based on either very unitary blocks or templates that allow him changes at scale. Once done with this parameterization, he will push this document to the plant. And this is one of the major difference with our competitors, is that we do the last mile to the operator. It means that based on different application fields, can be customers, products, operations, or whatever, we allow them to push the document in a very contextualized way, and it allows them to fine-tune documentation, like saying we'll have different documents to execute in the plant, depending on the customer we are building for. So once done with all this parameterization from the engineer point of view, I will switch to the operation space. And in here, I'll be the operator who is coming to the plant and trying to start session like creating product on a workplace. So we'll first connect to his workplace, and Juno will automatically push the right documentation as have been parameterized by the engineers. So all the documents you see here are there because we are building this product on these operations, and you can imagine a lot of other tags like customer, for example. So you will guide him on what he needs to do, and you will tell him like, okay, in here you need to measure something, and if you are not on the right tolerance, then it will be like a red flag, like you have something to fix this problem. And it will trigger an alert for the engineer who is in charge of this documentation. And once the operator is done with all his controls, we'll go to the third blocks of our app, which is the analytics. Like now, I'll come back to my engineer role, and I'm able to follow everything that is happening in production. I can pin the control I want to put to control daily or to have analytics on it. Like for example, depending on my role, if I'm a maintenance guy, I will probably have to analyze by machine, because the machine is the thing I'm observing on my daily work. Or if I'm quality guy, I will my analysis mesh will be the product mainly. And all those data that I'm gathering from the plant, I will be able to build some dashboard depending on the role. So we have built very customizable dashboards based on the role and the industrial, like pharmaceutical industries that do not need the same data as I don't know, luxury industry. And all the data, for example, I can know how much time I'm spending doing non-production stuff, like measuring my products or controlling my non-quality. And currently, so this is basically what we are doing on our app. And currently, we are preparing some machine learning features that enable quality engineers to know that every time I have a product that is manufactured in a machine like ABC 12, every time a product is manufactured in here, I'm facing non-quality. So I need to either do some maintenance on this machine or replace it or do more precise or more often controls on this machine. And it will enable them to gain a lot of time and money on doing some controls that are not necessary, or push them to do some controls that they are not doing to. And this all for me. Sorry for the time.
No, it's perfect. Thank you. We can easily see that everyone in the factory can use the product, and it's built for that. From operators to supervisors to C-levels to engineers, everyone can use the product and have some smart insights from the shop floor. Okay, so I don't have so much time left. Ash, I don't see the. Yes, thank you.
I can share the screen.
Okay, perfect.
Can we get some feedback from the VCs?
Yes,
absolutely.
I have still two.
Maybe we can go for a question from panelists.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I would like to ask a question here. Thank you very much for the presentation. With which industry are you willing to start and why? If I understand it well, like the market is pretty big. So what's like the TAM and the go-to-market strategy here?
Yes, the market is pretty big, and right now we are focusing on 3 use cases. The first one is I want to improve my quality system, and I want to access to the quality data of my shop floor. So this is for the mechanics, plastics, electronics industry. The second one is I want to have full visibility of what's happening on the shop floor. So we call it the supervision use case. This is also for mechanics, electronics, plastics, but also luxury, etc. And the third use case is traceability. This is more for the pharmaceutical, medical, cosmetics, and agri-food markets that are heavily regulated, and they need to collect the data end to end for product production. So as we digitize and collect all the procedures data, all the interactions between operators and the system, we can trace, have a full traceability of the production data. So these are the 3 main use cases and the markets that we are targeting.
And what is the size of the companies that you are targeting?
We are targeting EARs because the sales cycle with manufacturers is quite long, approximately 6 months. So we need to target some companies that have several plants in order to, when we sell a pilot on one plant and we validate it, we can expand. We can expand on the other factories of the company. So companies between 500 and 10,000 people.
Super clear. Sorry, go.
Just one more question. Sorry, I guess given sort of that company size and persona set, you've got operator supervisors, quality personnel. Like, how are you thinking about change management adoption? They're going from working on like paper and pencil-based processes to digital processes, and that's a kind of huge shift in what they're doing and how they operate on a daily basis. Like, how are you thinking about that question?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Right now, with the manufacturers that we are already working with, Juno is seen as I don't know how to say it in English, but it's more easy to work with Juno than with the paper-based system. We are not manufacturing experts. We are softwares and building apps experts. So we have built a very ergonomic and easy to use tool, and our adoption rate is just crazy. And the last pilot that we launched, we had 8/10 notation on the first day from operators, and they never seen that before. So the ergonomy and the easiness of the app is the enabler.
And
Cool.
do you integrate with other tools within the company?
Yes, of course. I'm not the technical guy, but I'll let Reda answer the question.
I can tell you. Yeah, basically, yes, we integrate with some tools on the site. For example, the ERP, because we were talking about we were talking about traceability and contextualized data, and to be able to know which product, which workplace, which operation, and which customer we need to integrate with the ERP. We can also integrate with MES. With some edge tools, like in order to have the full traceability, we have both the operators data, what they have filled on their phones, and we can also have the IoT data. So both the data allow the industrial to have a full traceability on what happened from day one on his production cycle to the end of the production. So yeah, ERP, MES, and some IoT tools.
Thanks.
Maybe one more question, and we go for the next startup.
We still have 2 more slides to finish. There are no questions. We can go for the next slide.
Yes, just very quickly, just to say that in 1 year, we have built the product, co-built it with the manufacturers. We have hired an incredible team of 9 people, and we have launched 5 pilots, and we are currently signing our first contracts that are proving our first assumptions. So I'll let you deep dive in the presentation if you want to know more. And we'll be raising funds in early 2023. So if you want to know more, we'll be pleased with Reda to meet you and to discuss it with you. Thank you for having us.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.
Hi everyone, very happy to be here. I know you are in love with numbers. I am too, so let's start with 1. This one is not only the equivalent of the French GDP, but this is as well what companies are losing every year due to their poor health and poor employee health worldwide. The good news is that the WHO has demonstrated that if companies succeed in setting up the right health plans and then follow up on them, these companies could be saving up to 700 billion euros a year. As of today, most of the companies, our targets are companies working worldwide with at least 2,000 employees, failed in doing so. They all understood that the workforce health is something key to the companies. Even after the COVID, it is something breaking for our companies. They know it's a must-have. They almost all have some chief medical officers within the company, but where they have fixed and difficulties is when you have to go on these kind of programs, you need to involve many stakeholders. These stakeholders are medical and non-medical people as well. These non-medical people can be human resources, they can be operation directors, finance directors from all over the world. And where it's complicated is because they have to work on health-related data. My name is Ben. I am the co-founder and CEO of MyC. My background is about engineering. I've been working for the last 8 years in Indonesia and after in Argentina, where I've been managing then starting companies, working with small, medium enterprises, as well as big companies such as Carrefour, John Deere, Volkswagen. I went back to France in early 2020, just a week before the COVID, part of the story. And I met my co-founder. My co-founder is the president of the company, Laurent Bernardo. He is a medical doctor, ENT surgeon with a crazy experience. He's been spending 20 years across the world. He has been in Antarctica, in the Middle East, in South Africa as well, in Europe. He has been the one to launch in 2013 the first telepathy system for telemedicine for Doctors Without Borders. We're talking here of approx 50,000 cases worldwide. So he is very renowned in this sector. And with Laurent, we just met in early 2020. We made a statement we had to do something for the health of the workforce because it was a direct impact for the companies. So what we did, we decided to create MyC. MyC first target is to support companies in improving their workforce health and benefits. And why do we do it? It's because we know, and it has been proven, that by doing so, we can help the companies in going after the 700 billion euros of savings they can go for. Then how do we do it? To do so, we're creating a web app. The web app is covering, and we'll see just after, the key medical needs of companies and creating a seamless way to communicate, being secure and GDPR compliant, with seamless communication between medical and non-medical stakeholders from companies all over the world. Let's first have a deep dive of what is the medical needs of a company. Let's go for some use cases. The first one is primary care. One of our clients is Brittany Ferries. In all of the ferries, they will add a sick bay log, an infirmary, where a nurse will attend all of the patients, guests, or staff of the company. They will be able with the system to log all their consultations, and the medical director who is inland is able to manage the 10 vessels wherever they are between the UK, France, and Spain. The second one is occupational health. You will know it wherever you work in. According to your position and the country, you will be every 6 months up to 5 years up to go to this kind of visits to have a fitness to work certificate. This is mandatory worldwide. And so the kind of clients we work with can be Saba. Saba have clinics that provide some OH services. And so they would use our solution to perform all of the checkups. And then they will have some dashboards for the clients to understand what are the pathologies and health trends of the workforce. The last one is about assistance. Assistance is all about remote supervision. It's about medical evacuation, and all about you ask for a second opinion when you are far away from the medical expertise. One of the use cases we have, it's a famous NGO I cannot name, we're working with, and every 2 or 3 weeks, they will request an expertise in infectious diseases. And so through our solution, they will go and request this expertise. This market is wide. The needs are all over the world, and we'll see later on that MyC is already in more than 1 countries. It's a convergence of healthcare analytics and corporate wellness. One of the key data points is, as of today, you have medical service providers that are serving the same companies we work with that are already making 10 million euros of revenue a year. Then how do we work and do we move forward in this nice ecosystem? The first step is to create the operational tool for all of the verticals we've seen before. So you would have on the way the medical teams to be able to work within the solution, and then on your way a dashboard. So anyone will be able to access the information because the information will be anonymous and purely statistics. Then it's how do we work with our clients from data visualization to business intelligence? How do we work with the companies so they can make some decisions health related for the good of their workforce and for the good of the business? And then the latest one is how do we become a thought leader? How do we do as Mercer is for human resources, the reference for the workforce health worldwide? How do we work with clients that are not using the tool within their companies or facilities to provide some business intelligence? We can think of governments, we can think of NGOs, we can think of any other kind of companies. The revenue model is built on 3 different pillars. The first one is software as a service. So we are developing for each of these 3 verticals the product, which is already live. And so any client, depending on the quantity of sites, the employees to cover, and the deepness, let's say, of the solution, a specific fee per month. Then we have the other one, which is very interesting because as well, a one-stop shop, the companies will request MyC to be used to get access to this second opinion, to this medical expertise. So we are creating this medical expertise. My co-founder Laurent is the expert worldwide in this field of expertise. And so we'll just have a markup on each consultation that will be done through the system. And then the last one is how do we shift into a health-related provider for all companies worldwide. MyC has been set up end of 2020 with the help of OSS Ventures. 2021 was the year we built the solution, and then we started really the commercialization in early 2022. As of today, we work in more than 9 countries, from the Philippines to Africa, Europe, and Honduras. Deployed in more than 35 countries worldwide, 35 sites worldwide, and always the strategy, which is the land and expand with all of the clients. So we work with both medical service providers that are key clients to us, and as well direct clients such as Total or the EU. Last but not least, before we jump into the demonstration, so we are about to close our fundraising. We're raising 2.5 million equity. We already have 1 million, which is secured. We are going into committee next week with some venture capitalists, some of the colleagues. I can see some nice faces here on the virtual room. Looking for 1.5 tickets for this round. And so we'd be very happy to discuss for this one if you believe it can make sense for your company and the fit with MyC, or for the next ones as well the nice growth, and be looking in 2 years to go for fundraising. Should we go now for the demo of the product? Yeah. So I'm showing my screen. So it's a web app you can access from any device. As soon as you have a connection, even if your connection is very bad, you're able to work while working in the middle of the jungle in the Philippines, and it works perfectly. So let's see on the left, you have some of the modules of the solution. My solution is by default in English. We have, as of today, 8 languages. We can add another one in 4 hours. Our clients speak, as of today, 5 different languages. So it's really up to the clients to let us know what they want, but we are really, let's say, waterproof in terms of language and international expansion.
Recording in progress.
According to the needs, we deploy some of the modules. Let's say we take the case of one of our clients is in Kenya. He's working on the construction site of a wind farm. So they will receive a patient. So let's say I am a doctor, so it's not my role. So please be nice to me. The person is Francesco. So I will look for the medical file of this patient. I will have a quick look at the history. I can be able to see the allergies or any key information if I want to go in the past consultations. I will start then a consultation for this patient. I will go and let's do a simple case. He has been with nausea for the last 24 hours. I would be taking some vital signs. Let's say the blood pressure. Let's make an easy case. I would take the cardiac frequency. Is a bit stressed out with some temperature. I will save it. I will add the specialty, which is very important as well for the statistics. So it's the general medicine reason. I will not go into detail, but we have the ICD-10, which is the International Classification of Diseases, which is something renowned and used by all medical doctors to classify all of the consultations they're doing. So we created an algorithm, then we are doping it with IA to make it even more powerful. And so it would be easy to code. Just for the reference, you have 18,000 lines, which is a kind of complex to use. So we'll make it easier with this of doing so. I've been finishing my review. Let's say I'm a medic, I'm on site, I have some doubts. So I would request my medical director, who is maybe miles away, to review it. So we just activate the toggle. I will save the consultation, and the patient is getting out. If I can, I need to prescribe some drugs or some other examination, I can do it very easily. You will see there is a small tag here. The consultation has been done to be reviewed. So my medical doctor will get a notification. He will then go into his logbook and see if he wants, he can filter it by status as it just done to be reviewed. And then he will be able to access. So let's say he's remote, he can be thousands of miles away. He will access the medical file, check it, and then give his assessment in case they have to. Every time we have a medical part of the solution, we have the equivalent within the dashboard. So in this case, what we have here is the full summary for the last 30 days on all of the sites. So let's say I'm the medical director, I can get access to the 3 sites here, Jakarta, Paris, and Buenos Aires. So I can see everything, all the activity in real time. And I would be able then to check all of the reporting. How many consultations, I can have the split by clients, because most of the time we then re-invoice, charge back to the other clients. We'll be able to check my activity, which is very useful for the benchmark to understand what's going on in sites, what kind of consultations as well. So you can have some pretty good data points. For example, a good one is a client after a few weeks, they just noticed 50% of the consultations were for mental health. So it's a way for them as well to reinforce some specialists, some kind of medicine to apply. And we'll be able to, we'll not go through, but access any kind of statistics they would need. We discussed about the ICD, so they will have a quick way to see it, which is very important in terms of health surveillance, in terms of pandemics as well surveillance. And so you can be very proactive instead of reactive. We have it for any kind of modules. So we have it for the same occupational health. We have it for the rest of the solution. I would be very happy to go in depth later on if some of you are interested. But with the minutes, I think I'm going to stop here. And thanks everyone for being here. And I would be very happy to share and receive the questions.
Panelists, you can go with the question.
I have maybe a question regarding the use cases and so that we better maybe understand the client's problem. So what kind of a solution do they often use before switching to yours? Where do they come from and what are the main pain points basically that you're addressing? Thanks.
In terms of where do they come from, as of today, we work with mostly companies that have at least 2,000 employees. The first penetration we did was with companies with high risk exposure, we could say. They can be factories, maritime industry, oil and gas, mining sites, all over the world. So we have clients in Denmark, France, but as well in Uganda or Somalia. So it's not really linked to the country. The needs, so they are depending on the vertical we're covering. It can be, if it's for operational health, it's more about a risk assessment. They are on site. They need to have a facility in case of someone gets an injury, is sick. So they will require a solution. As of today, why it's triggering the adoption of MyC? First of all, is the security and compliance. A lot is done with custom software, but not really compliant or secured. Another one is the strong difficulty and increasing difficulties of finding some doctors to go on site. So more and more they have one response center with medical doctors, but on site in the front end, we'll have some medics or nurses because it's less expensive. You have more of these people as well. And so they will be with this part on the front line that they will need to have a cross back, let's say, to have a cross check. So MyC is a way as well to be able to supervise the solution.
Thanks.
And how do you calculate the return on investment of the solution, and how do you show to your customers that mandatory to have your tool?
In a way, it's a regulation. The duty of care, it's in the lower so with the law regulations worldwide. So they have to work on that. They need to be compliant. So they follow the regulations to work on this. The occupational health, something which is mandatory worldwide. So they need to go for it. In terms of return of investment, it's very easy to calculate. When you look at all of the medical evacuations we can avoid with the solution, a medical evacuation between 30,000 up to 100,000 and 50,000 euros per evacuation, and 1 out of 2 is avoidable if you have the right expertise, you have the right assessments, and the good history of the patient. So we have this way, we have as well all the stock management. So all of the sites would have some pharmacy stocks, which are badly managed most of the time, and so we can easily show with the management of expiration dates a lot of savings in that as well.
Thanks.
Yeah, do you have any question from the jury?
Yeah, maybe one. I will be interested to hear more about the sales cycle with the customer that you address.
So we have 2 ways of selling. The first one, if we take the example of the EU or Total, it's a direct sale to the clients. So we have a 6 to 9 months sales cycles, purely land and expand. So we go and look for the first pilot project. As soon as we're in the project, when we say pilot project, it's more the first project because it's always a live project. We deploy the solution on a medical site, so it's never a duplicate. We land the project, and after 6 months, we expand to the same project with more modules and then to other ones. And then we have another way, which is through the medical service providers. So these companies are providing for big corporate institutions, any kind of big organization, medical services. And so MyC is the technology, it's the backbone of the services. And so we see you have like 10 big companies worldwide with scale services. So we are having some framework master agreements, and they are deploying us on all of the projects. So we are the one as well to be the technology components of their the service.
Thanks for the answer.
You're welcome.
Okay,
Thanks a lot.
So now let's go with Automi.
Sorry, again, my apologies for this rocky start. I am Galem, co-founder and CEO of Automi AI. And we let teams in factories use artificial intelligence to automate work. I know this sounds like science fiction, but it's not. And I'm going to tell you more about it. So very deep tech products, but that works, and that is starting to generate recurring revenue. My team and I are very proud about that. And we're going to tell you more about what we're doing. So I was mentioning my team. So team is made of 9 amazing people with 2 co-founders at the helm. Myself, Galem, and Bastien. So I have a background in advanced manufacturing. I'm one of the few people who actually knows how a jet or rocket engine is actually built. So I've spent a lot of time on working on manufacturing lines. I know the challenges that happen in that field. And I did a stint at business school before working into tech. So I'm combined really 2 domains that are not usually combined in founders, manufacturing and software. In tech, I worked for Ubuntu, which is the operating system of artificial intelligence, which got me familiar with all the AI communities and ecosystems, and gave me the lead that I need to take technology and commercialize it in fields where it wasn't commercialized yet, which is essentially what we're doing at Automi, and we're doing it much faster than the incumbents can manage to catch up. And my co-founder is a repeat founder who has recently exited a data science startup in France. So a great team, great mentors, 7 incredible engineers. I can claim that we have the best AI engineers in France. I hope my team is hearing that feedback. Yeah, so that's the team. And the problem that we're solving is we're contributing really to solve the biggest pain point in manufacturing today, which is labor shortage. The big movement of relocation, reshoring in the US, in Europe, but there's just not enough people to fill up the factories. Boomers are retiring, and young people just don't want to do the boring, difficult, repetitive work of manufacturing. In fact, 70% of the task of the labor content in manufacturing is repetitive, which is kind of, annoying. Makes the job unattractive, and smart manufacturers are trying to figure out ways to get rid of that part of the work, which is where we have. And the observation that we've made is that most of these repetitive tasks actually require full visual attention. And it's actually the bottleneck of automation. The reason why manufacturers cannot get rid of these boring tasks is that the technology was not just ready to take over this task. Now, that was 5 years ago. Okay. Good news today is that AI, is doing wonders. Compute has gotten much cheaper. Algorithms are getting smarter by the day. And super geeks like myself and my team can now build foundation models, big AI models that know how to process visual information almost as well as humans. I say almost, but It's quite impressive what these models can do today. So we've built a proprietary technology that can look at an image in an industrial scene and extract all relevant information from that image. Patent pending. Okay. Not only can it do that, but goes beyond what humans can do because it can measure stuff. Humans cannot count as fast. They cannot, measure precisely the pose, the dimensions of or the depth of object or the speed. So it does what human does, but goes beyond that. And is able to articulate all these in, in language that operators can understand. So that's the core of the tech that we've built. And we've packaged that in a very nice product. A product with a very noble mission. We make artificial intelligence actionable by anyone. Okay, you work in a factory, you want to automate some tasks. Today, with Automi, you have a tool that you can use to actually automate that work. Okay. So key features of the platforms, programmable by anyone. You don't need a PhD to do AI. Most of the computing products still need PhDs to do that work. I have a lot of PhDs in my team, but they're working so that people without PhDs can leverage the technology. Second, it can learn anything. So you can use, reuse. It expands like fire in a factory. Once they get the power of the thing, they apply it to anything. Deep learning, it learns. Software that learns. So you apply it to whatever you want. Super convenient. And the last important feature of the platform is that it's plug and play. You can connect it to whatever you want. Enterprise IT, legacy OT, okay, like robots, whatever machine you have. We've built in all the connectors that you need, to leverage that within your factory. It takes one day to get productive on that thing. Okay, once you have your equipment in place, one day you can train models and start doing AI and brag about it. True story. So one of our favorite customers is Renan, the leading pastry manufacturers in Europe. Bread, baguette, croissant, very important stuff in France, critical commodities. And the issue that they had was that after COVID, they had a surge in demand, a boom in demand. But they were also struggling to hire people. After COVID, people had, a lot of questions about what to do with their life, and turned out nobody wanted to go work in the factories, or not many people. So what do? They have a small VP of operations that Googled like hell, to find solutions. His intuition was that there's some technology that can happen. So he Googled and he found us and say, hey guys, can your thing help? He said, probably. And what he did is just, put some industrial camera on his manufacturing lines, deployed our product, was still, in a very MVP state back then, and started automating pretty dumb tasks like monitoring the production line, which monopolized 10 people every day for a single line. It runs 24/7. So it's 10 degrees in that factory. People just don't like to be there. So they put a camera on top of each line, use our platform to train models that just monitor what's going on the line. How much are we producing? Are we overproducing? Are we underproducing? How's the quality of the stuff that we're making? Simple things like that, but autonomously and with high precision, 24/7. Added a lot of value so that he could upskill the few people that were still willing to work in the factory. And he told us something that most of our customers tell us repeatedly: this changes everything. Once they get it, it's a game changer. And I think everyone has the intuition that AI is a game changer. This is an example. So it's really a big opportunity for any startup that can move fast, because industrial automation is a big market that is growing double digits every year. It's a 300 billion market. By 5 years, it's going to be a 500 billion market. Okay, and artificial intelligence is really driving a wedge in this market. Incumbents cannot move fast enough to catch up with the startups that are adopting the technology to create new products. So it's our opportunity to get into this market and get a share of that. And we're moving very fast. We're very good at threatening the incumbents with that technology. Sure, great market competition, of course. There's the legacy player, which are still, commercializing hardware-based product with really miserable algorithms I don't even want to talk about. And then there's the smarter guys who are leveraging the cloud and deep learning. But these guys are, they're not thinking about scalability as much as us, because they're still deploying numerous deep learning models that users need to train for each problem, and users still need to be very smart, to have PhDs to use these tools. Our tool is much more ahead of the whole competition. With respect to scalability, we have only one model, a big model that we ship everywhere, and the customer just fine-tune it with their own data. And our platform is super simple to use. Anybody can use it, no code, okay? You don't need a PhD. This is how we're beating the competition. We're making money, which is great. But we want to move faster because this market is an opportunity. You can see the nice logos that we already have. We're making recurring revenue. We're raising funds currently to go much faster. My goal is to reach 1 million within the next 12 months. Okay, this is why we're raising funds. We can survive by ourselves with the money that we're making, but we'll be missing out the opportunity to go fast and win the market. So anyone that wants to win that with us, give me a call. The business model is also very interesting because it's a mix of SaaS subscription and utility, because customers pay per use. So they have this big model that they train, and every time it processes an image, we get money on top of the subscription, which is fantastic. Margins are great, 80%. The advantage that we have is that we integrated into their production assets. So switching costs are astronomical. Okay, so they're just astronomical. And when we compare this, the lifetime value that we get thanks to this switching cost to the cost of acquiring the customers, it's fantastic. We get like 50 times the cost of acquisition over the lifetime, which is a great business model. Historically, since we're surfing the AI wave, we're able to close deal in 3-4 months, which is much faster than many startups in this domain. So we're raising funds, okay, to go faster. I've said that already. We want to hire salespeople, sales and marketing people, because we're doing cool things, but many people don't know yet about it. It's time to make noise about it. So we'll be hiring sales and marketing. We'll be hiring more geeks to make the product even better. And the rest will be used for G&A. Again, the goal is to hit 1 million soon. Yes, that's it. I'll try to do the demo if this computer is kind enough. But in the meantime, feel free to shoot questions so that my friends and colleagues can have the occasion to present too. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, please.
Yeah, thank you so much for the presentation. I actually have a first question. So you mentioned one of the use case being monitoring the production line. What are the use case that you address with your solution?
So what we're seeing a lot is quality control in industry with high value product or very high volume, production volume. We have a lot of customers in automotive, produce very high volume, and quality requirements are very high. So thanks to our platform, they can check all their products 100% automatically and assure the customers, which are sometimes big automotive integrators, assure them that they deliver 0 defect products to them, which is very reassuring. We have a lot of luxury companies. And we're starting to see, beyond that, we're starting to see very creative use cases, like companies in the process industries that use very specific cameras to do predictive maintenance with computer vision. So once the customer, the driving use cases are quality control and performance monitoring, but customers are getting increasingly bold and creative in the use case. They're thinking of use case we haven't thought before, which is interesting.
Super clear, thanks.
Thank you.
Maybe a follow-up is how scalable are the labeling workflows customer to customer? I know Landing and some of the other quality control companies here in the US have struggled with sort of selling across different use cases in the enterprise just because each defect is a bit different. So like on the platform today, like how scalable are sort of the labeling workflows for a prospective operator or supervisor?
So how scalable are the workflows? Scalable in that, in what sense? I'm not sure I understand the gist of the question.
Yeah, like what are the workflows like for operators? Like Landing and some of these other companies have had huge customer success teams, even though they have worked on sort of low code workflows. So like, what does that experience look like for an operator?
Yeah, so I can
when they're training a new use case.
I can show. I hope you're seeing my screen. Are you? Yes, we do. Okay, great. So the first thing that the customer they need to do is to fit their production line or their workstation with cameras. And once it's done, we have a continuous, from this platform, they can collect a continued, almost infinite stream of data, which lands in the platform here. This is the baguette use case that I was mentioning. So they have a continuous stream of data, which lands in data lakes, in image data lakes, and they can use it to create great quality data sets. Because they have an infinite flow, they can pick here what quality picture they can leverage for the data set. The quality is all about the data, and the platform delivers an infinite source of data and lets the customer curate data sets. Okay. Once I mean, it's very simple to do. You pick, you name it, and you create. I won't do it here. But once you create, you have your data set that you can manage. You can add image, remove the ones that you don't like. But like many other tools, you annotate it. So what we've done, since our users are not very technical people, we guide them very precisely into what to do step by step, how to annotate the data. Okay, so they just label it step by step and get feedback in real time about the quality of the data set, because again, it's all about the quality of the data set. They get feedback to know how they're doing. And once they have that, they can train models that they are deployed to their process. Again, we've made it very simple. You just pick the data sets. You've seen the data set that I've presented before. You name your experiment and the type of skill that you want to train, and you add it. Again, I won't do it, but what you get is automatic training of these models. So once you've built your data set, and you can inspect it and simply launch the training, right? By associating a data set. And once you launch it, it goes to a cloud, into the cloud with integrated MLOps the training is done automatically. So all the decisions that a classical data scientist would make are made automatically in the cloud. And they get the metrics about the quality, the precision of the data, and they can decide whether to deploy it or not to production. And once it's deployed, this is the way customers use it. They have an overview of all their production lines that are instrumented, and they can see the inference in real time and extract data in a no-code fashion. So here for the use case of the breads, they see the results of the production monitoring, the metrics associated, and we've added new features to extract the data just by writing text. So they can extract data summaries of data, they can specify rules that leverage this algorithm. So this is high level how the platform works. Yeah. So I'm
sort of given the
yes, please.
I was going to say, given sort of the complexity of sort of them having to label and kind of understand what to label and then sort of understanding what to extract, like, what does that like onboarding training look like, you know, and how much sort of customer success is required?
So right now we do trainings for the customers, for the first customers. We do training. There's with those personal training. There's a training section in the platform that details what to do for every use case with videos. Okay, very detailed instruction. And in the annotation tool that I've shown you, you can see that there's a lot of guidance because we know the audience. We help them set up exactly what type of tools they need to label a data set, by putting it on Rails. So there's a lot of questions to answer before you start annotating, which I haven't showed in the demo, but you can see it here. We guide them in every step so that they stay on Rails and don't do any error. So it's a combination of personal training, documentations, and guidance within the app. Any other question?
So let's see vertical. Armine, you can go ahead.
Great.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thanks for making the time tonight. So I'm Armine. I'm the co-founder of Vertical, the solution to maximize CapEx efficiency for industrial companies. But let's maybe start by a quick definition of what is CapEx for our clients. Basically, it's a yearly 3.7 trillion USD spent on machines, softwares, and buildings, either building new factories or improving or making them bigger. And it has grown tremendously in the past, and it's expected to grow even more because of labor shortages, fast end customer behavior changes, amongst them the push for locally produced and sustainably produced products. And it's also driven by the rise of inflation, pushing manufacturing companies to make a better use of their cash, basically. And it's impacting all the layers of the organization. So basically, one of the most shocking insights that we got was from one of the CFO we are currently working with. And she was telling us basically before Vertical, CapEx was kind of a black box. She was opening it at the end of the year, every year, hoping that the team had basically invested the amount that was expected on the topic that was expected at the beginning of the year. So that's the amount of pressure that you can get as a CFO on an industrial company working on CapEx, but it also impacting a lot the operational organization because CEOs and operational team struggle to understand what's the status of the investment and how they can prioritize and reprioritize their investment throughout the year, but also the project manager on the ground floor, because for them it's a high complexity to manage the amount of stakeholders, but also the pressure coming from the corporate to execute on time and on budget. Which, by the way, looking at a recent McKinsey study, you have, I think it's 30% of the industrial investment projects that are late versus what was initially expected. And that is why we created Vertical. So basically, Vertical is three things. The first one is the ability to forecast the financial impact of the investments on the company. For instance, the cash flow, but also the P&L impact of the investments and when they will kick into the company's P&L. But it's also a way to optimize the project performance because we're learning from past project and helping the operational team to improve on their project management skills. And also, last but not least, the ability to model and reprioritize their CapEx allocation throughout the year at any time, whenever a shock or a change of strategy happens. The way we build Vertical is relying on partners. Today we have within our pipeline we have over 10 companies with the global capex yearly spend that exceeds 1 billion, and we wanted to be from the start a global company, because working with French clients, we tackle their international operations. So we started reaching out to companies and working with companies both in France and in Germany. Our plan is basically, we started working on Vertical around March, April this year, and our objective is to prove the usage. Prove the usage with our partners and first clients until the end of the year. By the end of next year, what we expect is to have a data set that is large enough so that we can be prescriptors of the best way of handling CapEx, managing CapEx, and the whole CapEx management process for industrial companies. And then what we envision is to grow along the whole CapEx process with financing solution and machine buying solutions for our clients, and then for the whole industrial ecosystem. To do that, we are going to raise starting next year to basically finance our deployment and ensure that we have the right speed in terms of growth to be able to achieve those ambitions. In terms of teams, the way we've built the team is basically to make sure that we have all the capabilities within Vertical to make sure that it's a success. So we have both the technical experience with Guillaume, the more manufacturing experience with myself, and we've also hired a product manager and head of sales, account executive / head of sales, who has the extensive knowledge of working with of selling to large enterprise company, because that's our main focus and our main target today. And we have a set of industrials that we're closely working and deploying the solution with. I don't know if you have any questions so far, or if we should jump directly in the demo. Demo then. Okay, are you all seeing my screen?
Yeah.
Perfect. So the way it works is we have several set of users within Vertical. We have both the operational team on the ground floor, we have the executive, and then we have what we call process owners who are in charge of making sure that the company's processes are fit into Vertical and are followed by the whole organization. What we've prepared, because of the timing that we have, is more the executive view. So where I want to project you is in a view where you as an executive are building your strategy and your budget for the year to come, and you enter into Vertical. What happens is when you get in, you have a view on the past project, the past strategies or the past budget that you have validated and that are still running. So what most of them call the carryover, which is basically impacting their ability to invest in the years to come. You also have the ability to create what we call within Vertical a program. And basically your program is a set of 3 types of information. The first one is telling the people what you are talking about and what you want to achieve. The second set of information is basically who you attributed it. You attribute this budget or this program to. It can be a team, a specific team. When it's a confidential project, it can be a whole business unit. And then you can set a set of targets for a project that are proposed to this program, this specific program. Once you've done that, basically, you've done most of the work so far. You just have to wait for your team to present and to basically propose you the projects that fit the most into this strategy or into this program. And then by the budgeting phase that for most of the companies start in September, you go back into the tool. You can have a view of all the information that you've entered, but the way it's used, you can also add project to this strategy and validate them and basically select the ones that you want to see in this program and in the coming year's budget. Once you've selected those projects, you can track your program, you can track how it's deploying over the course of the year, but that's more a summary view. The view that is more used by our user is the dashboarding view, where they have a view on how their overall strategy is being deployed within the company, either in terms of CapEx trajectory, so what they invest versus what they budgeted as investments, but also what in terms of project execution. So for instance, if they plan to have additional revenues coming in from their CapEx project in April, and it's not happening because all the 20% of the projects are delayed, we can tell them by when the revenues will kick in. And then you have also a view over the cash flows. But one of the most important way of using it is also to be able to dig into the issues and to identify quickly what projects are going in the right direction, and to be able to act on it or to reallocate some resources to make sure that the strategic projects are going through and are on time and on budget. And so you have the ability to go deep up into the project management part of the application where the project team evolves, and to basically give instruction to the team to work and to improve their or at least to give you or to report what is going well, what is not. And that's the way it's used. For instance, you can add tasks just to ask the team to work or to prepare some reporting for you, and go back to the dashboarding to see what is happening and what has been corrected.
So we have Rémi from Bonx.
Yeah, hi everyone. Okay, I'll try to make it short. I think we kind of slide on the time. So I'm the founder of Bonx, and basically what I'm going to talk is no-code ERP for SMBs in manufacturing. Okay. Maybe you can, yeah. So to tell you a bit of the story, we interviewed a lot of CEOs of industrial SMBs when we launched Bonx, and that was 6 months ago. And we realized basically they're stuck between 2 pretty bad options when their company is growing and so far was running on paper and was running in the head of people, etc. They were sort of reaching this phase around 50, 60 employees where either you structure the information that you have on the company, or basically you explode growing. Yeah, you can switch slide. And so those 2 options is either you do something, you scrap something with Excel, and maybe it'll buy you 6 months, or I think most of you should know this, you buy what we call a big ERP. It takes 12 months. It's a 12 months IT project, very rigid tool. And because you're a growing SMB, then by the time it goes live, your problems are already slightly different and it's starting to be obsolete pretty far. And so, yep, next slide. Yeah. And so that's why we created Bonx. So it's a manufacturing ERP. Okay, we don't do finance or accounting. I'll go to that right after. Basically, what we did is, okay, every ERP is designed as this big catalog of hundreds of modules, all of them poorly conceived. And we thought, okay, what is fundamentally what a factory needs to be structured and to be done fast and to be done by the users themselves. And we realized they need three things. The first thing is you need to capture insights from the shop floor. You need to capture order, production data, etc. And what we saw is that this data is very specific to one factory to another. So it needs to be really tailor-made, you know, like every data you capture will be slightly different. So this is what we call forms. The second thing we have on the product is views. Basically, once you have data, it's not much use as is. You need to manipulate it, and views are very useful for this. Any user without any data expertise can create a view, can customize it, and this opens possibilities for better production management and visibility. And then the last thing we realized you need in a factory to structure operation is automation. You have always those critical processes, like maybe you want to make sure orders above a certain price are controlled by specific people. Maybe you want to generate references of a parametric products, etc. The use cases are very large, and those automation are your tool for this, and also reduce error and increase productivity. And so this is how we design Bonx, and why we're doing it in a way that is absolutely disruptive compared to every ERP right now. The first thing is we're a no-code tool, and that you build above graph storage, and this gives a lot of flexibility and makes the data very simple for the users, and makes it very accessible. This is fundamental. The second thing is we've taken strong decisions in terms of product. We don't do HR, we don't do finance, we don't do CRM, but we integrate with them. And in the end, instead of 100 modules you see in an ERP, we have 4 features that do 95% of the job. And finally, in every factory, you have this nerd profile that kind of gets data that's really, if you give them the right tool, they will build what the factory needs, and they will build it quickly. And so that's our creator, I would say, profile for Bonx. And very quickly, basically what we can see in the words of our customers, it's they like speed, they like that they're in control, and they like that it's simple. And those 3 ingredients are why we think that with Bonx we kind of cracked the ERP, the manufacturing ERP topic, and why we are already winning deals against traditional players like Sage or Silob, etc. And yeah, very quickly, so we started in May. We have 2 POCs that are live in factories, and we have 6 factories that are planned for deployment or starting in deployments. And something very interesting is that we have even on the go-to-market, we basically, when we deploy Bonx on the site, what we offer is to make a 3-week trial run. And in this run, basically, we focus on one perimeter and we train the power user. And in 3 weeks, we make a go live and we start creating impact and usage on the company. And then the idea is that the power user are trained and will build the ERP themselves with minimum guidance. At least that's the product vision we're conceiving. And finally, we're still on a core mission critical topic for companies. So the pricing for, despite the fact we're targeting SMBs, is still pretty high. We're closer to what you'll find in a SaaS tool for smaller, for bigger companies. So that's also interesting in terms of unit economics. And at the moment, we're raising $500,000 pre-seed round, and our goal is to use this money to reach our first 1.5 ARR in the next 12-18 months. And that's the target we're aiming for. And yeah, and very quickly, so the team is basically a mix. Maybe you can, next slide. yeah, the team is a mix of tech and industry people, and well, you know, the OSS mentors that that's also coach us on a daily basis and help us grow the company. So that's it for the presentation. And shall we move very quickly to the demo, or maybe we can just jump into the question?
We can see a quick demo.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. Right. Right. Okay, I'm trying to bottle this. So this is demo on live data, and I can show you a bit of Figma also on the missing parts. So what we've built so far is we have no code views. So this is a typical view. Maybe you want to, in this case, you have to imagine you're responsible of quality. And on this specific use case, the champion wanted to measure how much time per station, per workstation you had defects. And so to do this, I'll show you after how the data comes from. But basically, you can see that on this particular station, you have maybe 3 times more defects than the other. So that enables the champion to focus their efforts to fix actually problems at this step. And so the idea with Bonx is really everyone can create views. And so really in a few clicks, you can create a new one. I'm going to see, for instance, let's say, I'm going to see order line. Yeah, pretty simple. And really in a few clicks, you can parameterize. So you have a few data already accessible, and then you can just change what you see. Maybe you just want to see a really little data sets, and you can also get data from related objects, etc. Basically, the idea is that in less than 10 clicks, you can build your tailored views that really exploit everything you captured on the shop floor, etc. So that's views, very fast and easy to create. The second thing is forms, and I'm going to show you live forms. Basically, the idea is that now you're an operator and you're using a scanner on the shop floor to scan a product, and then basically it opens a form that was created before by the champion. And this form is very useful to, in this case, was designed to capture times between the beginning and the end of an operation and on quality. But basically it's no code. So the champion could have removed this field. Also this one could have put another, could have captured other data and made it in a few clicks accessible to the operators. And finally, the automation part, I'm going to show you a Figma. We're building the no-code layer, the interface of the automation, but we have the backend working. And I'm going to share my entire screen. There we go. So the automation is basically a way to both import data or structure key processes. And in this case, I'm sorry, the text is in French. Should have planned for this. Basically, what you can do is create a new automation. So it always starts with a trigger, and you can trigger on regular basis or from events that come from external tool. In this case, what I want to do is maybe I want to structure how the inventory is done, and I want some products to be reinventoried every 3 weeks. So every 3 weeks, I will create the trigger, and then I will maybe locate the product that have a specific category, whatever. And this is the products that I want my logistic lead to check every 3 weeks. And then I want to simply assign a form that I built before to just check the inventory counts on these products. And in just a few minutes like this, I have structured the process, and I also avoided that the factory is shut down for 1 week at the end of the year. Instead, I do a rolling inventory check. And this is just an example of what you can do with automation, but the possibilities are pretty infinite. So that's it for the demo. That was a bit fast. Sorry about that. I hope you understood.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Rémi. Maybe one question?
Yeah, I have a question on the integration strategy. So how do you decide, you know, which tools to integrate, which software is existing at the client side?
Yeah.
Do you have to prioritize it somehow, I guess, right? 'Cause,
yeah, something quite interesting is that on our current target, which is SMBs between 2 and 7 millions, there is not much diversity in terms of tool they need to integrate. So usually it's an accounting tool, Sage 100 or something like this, but there's not much diversity there. The second thing is maybe a CRM tool like HubSpot. HubSpot is quite popular. So we don't have much prioritization to do. And also something we build, basically, you can also import in-Bonx data from flat files, like CSV files. So it's pretty easy to quickly import new data into the tool. We actually do it for even for demos. To give you an idea, we can import data from Google Sheets in a few minutes. And this way we can build demo with live client data, which is kind of nice.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks a lot. I think we run out of time. For those who could not join us, a replay will be there. And thanks a lot, all the jury, and thanks a lot, Pavel.